Good morning, we are Group C4. Today we are going to conduct a reflective presentation. I'm Cynthia. First, let me recap the Surface project. In this workshop, we aim to achieve two objectives, promoting STEM education and fostering the supportive social network between elderly and primary school students. In our first lesson, we introduced ourselves, set the class rules, and delve into STEM theory. The most important thing is that was the announcement of lesson 4 have elderly came to school and be a member in team. Moving to lesson 2, we dive into electricity wire and robotic car. Students understand the electricity wire theory and we start on the hand-on start of the developing a robotic car. In lesson 3, students wrote their first make code program and create a controller. This lesson not only enhanced their coding skill but also increased the passion of the creativity and innovation. Our final lesson, we remind the student of importance of effective communication with elderly. We make a final adjustment to the robotic car and controller, ensure they were ready for the upcoming competition. In our service, we use educational tools and methods such as Kahoot, video, and role play to enhance class friends. Next page. Next. This slide is show the different controller of student make it. Then I will pass to Chloe talk about the impact of surface recipient.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'm Chloe. Let's talk about the impact. Next. Here are three major impacts. Next. First one is knowledge about STEM. Before lesson 1, most of the students have no understanding of STEM. Next. The evidence is that we use Kahoot to assess their study absorption, achieving an impressive 90% accuracy on 4 STEM questions. Next. Another method is that logic. Prove that students are attentive to class, successfully increase students' STEM knowledge. The second knowledge is robotica to achieve ILO A, B, and E. Here is a video to show student and teacher cooperatively building a robotic car. The second evidence is that the log sheet and group photo prove that they are happy and learn how to build their final product of car. The first skills is creativity. In lesson 4, remote controller design session can achieve ILOC. For the initial design, they design a push button remote controller, but they adjust it and consider the slower remotes because the response of the elderly carefully introduced as steering wheel for added convenience. Students draw inspiration from daily life, creating unique PS4-based remote controller by using colored paper. And the second skill is communication. In lesson 1 to 3, most students are introverts. The students lack experience of interaction with the elderly. The evidence is that through ice-breaking games, they sharing ideas and making remote controllers together to achieve ILOE.
試下估啦，仲有2次機會啊嘛，估領袖緊。
The first attitude, which is teamwork, students initially emphasizing individual interests, but they cooperate when challenges arose. The evidence is that in Lesson 2, one student excellent in part, another in coding. Recognizing each other's strengths, they coordinate efforts to achieve ILO B, D, and E. The last attitude is how to face win or lose. In the competition day, they achieve ILOF, which is they celebrate achievement in their competition. Although they're missing the champion, some disappointed students analyze the failure reasons, express their eagerness to participants in next year's workshop. They are also willing to face the challenges. Regardless of win or lose, students decide thank you card to the elderly for their dedication and companionship to achieve ILOE. Then I will pass to Wilson to talk about the next part.
Thank you, Chloe. And I'm Wilson, and let's talk about the importance of STEM education on young people. When it's come to the feature of STEM education, there are 3 features for the STEM education, which include the hands-on learning, collaboration and teamwork, and real-world application. And these 3 features will apply in our services. Next page. The STEM education will provide the hands-on learning. The young people are encouraged to actively engage in the activities such as conducting the experiment, building the model, and others. This approach can let the young people to develop the critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity effectively. Next page. For the collaboration and teamwork, the young people will often work in a group to solve the complex problem. During these procedures, they will communicate with each other or sharing the idea to solve the problem. It can enhance the communication skill and also the teamwork. Next page. As for the real-world application, the STEM education can make the young people to understand the difficulty that may face in the real life. It can inspire them to apply the STEM knowledge to solve the real-life problem. Next page. Concerning the benefits to the service recipient, the STEM education can enhance the several areas for the service recipient, which are developing the problem-solving skill in everyday life, enhancing the communication skill, and developing the creative thinking. Next page. In our workshop day 1, we emphasize the practical application of knowledge and skill to real-world problems. It can help the service recipient understand the relevance of STEM concept in everyday life, and they can solve the problem quickly. Next page. On the other hand, the service recipient can enhance the teamwork during the services. As I remember in workshop day 2, one group was facing a problem when assembling the body of the robotic car. Then what I saw is that the service recipient in that group keep communicating with their groupmate and solve the problem successfully. This communication skill is very helpful for the future of the service recipient, such as the academic aspect and others. Next page. There is the interesting case during the service. We have a challenge question to the service recipient, and the question is about the distinguishing the harmful liquid. Then some of the service recipient point out some answer, which is very creative. The first one is that they will bring it to home and use a microscope to check it. And the second one is that they will use the rat as a test and let the rat to drink 2 of the liquid. After listening the answer, we are very surprised that they can think of this kind of creative answer. Next page. Regard to the suggestion to have better benefits to young people if STEM is important, I will suggest to encourage the parents to join the STEM program with their children because it can cultivate the relationship between the parent and children. Also, it can stimulate the young people's interest for the STEM education when parents provide the STEM-related resource to their children. Now I will pass to Cynthia to talk the remaining part.
Thank you, Wilson. Then me and Marco will talk about the understanding the need of the service recipient. During the service process, we also encountered different difficulties, including classroom disciplines, programming, physics knowledge, and theories. The two common issues in the classroom discipline is students leaving the seat without permission during the class and speak actively in the class and interrupt the teacher's speak. The reason we think was teaching language is not attractive and does not call out students and enthusiasm for the learning in the theoretical classes. Another reason is they want to explain themselves among their classmates, and they are very competitive. Our short-term action is ask them to return to the seat and remind them of the classroom rules. In long term, at the teacher level, we suggest teaching diversity. When teaching using more example from life experience and think that interests them, which can help them understand some theoretical and other more abstract concepts. At the school level, provide psychological counseling service to students to help them deal with stress, emotional problems, and provide appropriate support. Then Marco will talk about another difficult we encountered.
Thank you, Cynthia. For the programming part, as they mentioned, the program of controller is coded by their teacher last year, but this year we want them to code by themselves. So at the beginning, they don't know what they should do. Even we teach them the basic coding method in the lesson, they don't have enough programming knowledge to finish their own controller program because we let them to decide how to use the controller. So most of them is different with the basic one. So in that moment, we find out what they want for their controller first and teach them how to code their program. For the long term, I think the school can teaching some simple coding knowledge in their IT lesson, which can help them to learn easily in our lesson. In addition, coding knowledge is useful in the future, so adding this part in their general lesson is suitable, I think. Next, for the physical knowledge part, their controller is decided by their teacher, so they don't need to learn how to connect the button to the microbit. In this year, we let them to design the controller and build it by themselves. Each controller have different connect method. For example, some students want to tilt the controller, some students want to put the button. Sorry, some students which also have their own wire connect method. In addition, connect the wire in a very small space is need very carefully, so they are unable to connect it. In that moment, we only can help them to connect it because they try a lot of time, but the controller is still not working because of the poor contact. For the long term, I think the school can add a STEM lesson in their general lesson, which can teach them some simple physical knowledge, which can help them to build their own design easily in the future. For the theory part, most of the students willing to pay a roboting card in this company, so they prefer that all the lesson can pay the robotic card for their practice or can for them to change the design. But we need to teach them some theory first so they don't focus in the theory lesson. In that moment, we're trying to ask them to focus on the lesson and tell them they can play the demo card in the break time. For the long term, I think the school teacher can tell them the teaching schedule before they join this competition. That's all our C4 group presentation. Thank you.